Hello everybody. This is the final part of our 5-part series on resistance training for beginners. In this video, we'll be talking about reps, sets, and volume. This whole series has been so well received. We could not, the whole team at Defy, could not have expected this to go any better. We've had a number of people come to us and say, we've watched these videos and we've decided to give resistance training a go and we've loved it. I think it was 2 days ago on the news here in New Zealand, it was mentioned that resistance training is now being prescribed to people who've been diagnosed with cancer at an early stage. So we've spoken about sarcopenia before. We've spoken about all the benefits of resistance training, provided you can remain injury free. So please go back and have a watch of those videos. They're targeted at any level. So whether you want to train at home, whether you want to train with very basic equipment, or whether you're looking to get started in the gym. And one of the things in the gym that causes a lot of confusion is some of the jargon that gets thrown about. So without wanting to make this video too technical, we'll be looking at some of the terms. Now, Dr. Eric Helms has an excellent series that you'll see up here. We'll put a link to it. If you're interested in a bit more detail, then go watch that. But we'll be talking about things at a very basic, simple level, in layman's terms. So the first term that gets mentioned quite a bit is reps. What are reps? A repetition, very simply, is one contraction. So if you're doing the overhead press, for example, from there to there, muscle contracts, that is one repetition. Repetitions, one or more, make up a set. So for example, in a lot of the, in fact, the whole series that we've done to date, we've been prescribing sets of 10 reps. So you do that 10 times, that is a set. Now, whatever weight you're doing, that weight is referred to as the intensity. So you've got a 10 kg dumbbell on your hand and you're doing that 10 times. That 10 kg dumbbell is the intensity. Those three things combine together to give you volume. So you take your reps, you multiply that by the weight you're doing, and you multiply that by the sets you're doing, and that's the volume that you're doing for that particular movement. Now, the whole point of all of this, the whole point of resistance training is progressive overload. This is a term that gets thrown about quite a bit, and very simply what progressive overload means is over time you need to be progressing. Over time you need to be adding to the volume. So we've spoken about 3 variables. We've spoken about the weight you're doing, the intensity, the sets, and the reps. Whatever movement it is that you're doing, those things need to be improving over time. They need to be increasing. So we'll conclude with a very, very simple example. Say you're doing the overhead press and you're doing it with a 10 kg dumbbell and you're doing 3 sets. The simple maths here is 10 times 10 times 3, which is 300. What you should be aiming for in the long term is for that volume to increase. Now, you've got 3 ways to do that. You could increase the weight, assuming your form still remains solid. That is an option. Another option is to increase your repetitions. So you've done it first week and doing 3 sets of 10 reps seemed fairly manageable. Bump those reps by 1 more, right? So you may be able to do 11 reps, and then the final set of 10 reps. Another option is to add sets. So for a lot of movements, especially movements that tend to isolate individual muscles, it's actually very hard to add weight and to add sets. It's very hard. I'll start again. For some movements, it's very hard to add repetitions and to add weight. And it may be an option to add sets. So one of the movements that I do quite a bit is the lateral dumbbell raise for the shoulders. And I find it very hard to add weights or to add reps. It's just something about the actual, the way that muscle is made up. I get to a certain level of reps and then I've had it. And the only way for me to really progress in the long term will be to add sets. And the whole idea here, guys, is you want to be progressing. That is the stimulus to your body to make tissue grow, to hold on to tissue. As you age, as you're in a calorie deficit and you're looking to lose fat. And that is the whole point of all of these things. That is the whole point of what progressive overload is. So we hope that's helped you. We hope that you're able to take some of the concepts from this video and add and build on some of the movements that we showed you. Now, I tend to keep a notebook with me, and it's there. And those of you who've seen me in the gym, the notebook is it's been with me for a number of years. I make a note of every set and every rep that I do for that set. You can get all sorts of apps to do this. Personally, I don't like to be distracted by having a phone with me, so the old notebook does a good job. But the whole idea is, if you can't measure something, you can't improve it. And if you don't improve it, then you're not progressing. So there we have it, guys. That concludes the series on resistance training. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope it's added something that you can take away. Stay tuned because we've got more video series coming up. We'll be looking at something more around diet and behavior in the coming weeks. But I'll catch you all later.